Hi, so I'm going to be doing this makeup tutorial. I'm going to start out with just a foundation today because I think that's all I'm going to wear anyways. So tomorrow I will do some other steps, but basically this is just what I do on a daily basis. So to start out, you definitely want to make sure that you've shaved and that you've moisturized. Then for me, the next step is to prime. So what priming does is it actually just it can minimize the appearance of your pores. It can minimize the appearance of your pores and help keep you from being very oily. You kind of, with a lot of makeup things, you kind of just have to figure out what works with you and what doesn't. It's a lot of trial and error. What works for me might not necessarily work for you, so it's really just trial and error. A lot of things that work for me actually don't work for my wife, and she's been doing makeup for ages, so don't think, there's something wrong with you or your skin or anything like that. I'm terribly sorry, I'm holding my phone up to the mirror with silly putty, so it's kind of rotating a little bit. Anyways, so after you prime, you kind of want to get the primer depending on what it does on the areas that are problem areas. For me, I have big pores in my nose and kind of up in my upper mustache area, so I put some of the primer there. Really make sure to spread it around and on my upper mustache just to create that initial layer for me to have my makeup on. So it's really going to depend on whether you use powder foundation or liquid foundation. Oops, rotating another again. Let's try that again. Okay. So basically, sorry about that. So basically you have liquid and powder foundations and probably a couple other mixes, but these are the two biggest ones. Don't believe that you have to use like the most expensive product to get good results. I get complimented a lot on my makeup and I use cheap drugstore stuff, so a lot of it's going to come down to your technique putting it on, more so than how expensive it is. A lot of the cheap stuff has gotten really good lately, so don't feel pressured to spend hundreds of dollars, especially when you don't know what you're doing. Um, even if you don't, even if you know for you your skin only works, only expensive makeup works for you, it's never a terrible idea to start with some of the cheap stuff, especially if you're just gonna be trying at home, just to get an idea of the techniques. That being said, it really depends on how your skin takes to the cheap stuff. For example, my wife cannot use any of the cheap stuff at all. It looks bad. Keep in mind though, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's going to work for your skin. You're still gonna have to do trial and error just to find out which one works. Okay, sorry about that. I tried to see if I could fix the little silly putty holding my phone to the mirror. So anyway, for liquid foundation, it's very important that you wet your sponge. If you don't wet your sponge, it's going to come out very blotchy. It's going to be very hard to spread it around. So that's a very important first step. Next step, on these sponges, again, you can go with like a really expensive beauty blender, which works really well, or you can go with these sponges, which I got from CVS for a heck of a lot less. Then for sponges, you should be able to get away with even drugstore sponges for expensive makeup. So anyways, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take some of that foundation, liquid foundation, and put some right here in your hand. And you bring your sponge to your hand. Make sure it's not like dripping wet when you use it, by the way. But like you want it to be moist and big, but you don't want it to be dripping wet. And that's really important. Okay, and then you just kind of start dabbing it on your skin. You're going to want to watch how your skin is taking the makeup. I'm going to just spread it around. When it's not covering as well as you want it to, you go in and you grab a little bit more. You don't want to make sure you get your whole face because you don't want to look patchy. If you do a really good job color matching, you can probably get away with just doing certain areas of your face. Or you can do what I do, just put makeup over your entire face, go for full coverage. So if you're gonna go for like a more natural look, then you just kind of want to target certain areas and even out your skin tone. You're gonna be doing a lot more blending. I'll show you blending when I get to my neck, so that way you get an idea of what that's like. But I don't really do that on the rest of my face as much. One thing I forgot to mention is that if you're going to be outside a lot, definitely use sunscreen under your foundation. I use this from Walgreens. Makeup goes great on it. It doesn't, you can't even tell. It's fantastic. I gotta say, if you're gonna learn something, learn how to put on foundation really well, because it will really help you hide that beard shadow, and that goes a long way to passing. Because even if you have somewhat masculine features, a lot of girls have a lot of masculine features, so you know, it's one thing that cis girls don't have is a beard. So if you aren't in a you know, you're halfway through lasering or whatever, or haven't started, covering up that beard is going to go a long way, because people will look for that beard and they won't see it, and they will default to female, which is what you want. I don't ever do any of those makeup feminization techniques, mostly because I just kind of want my makeup routine to be fast and efficient, because I do it right before I go to work, so I don't have enough time to spend contouring the heck out of my face and carving different cheekbones and everything. So yeah, if you look here how I'm gonna do my under eye area, that's what you want to do when you're blending. You kind of want to just blend out the makeup. Like you see here, I have a very big distinction between the area with makeup and no makeup, so just blend that away. Same with the other eye. And it's also very important, especially if you don't get the right shade. My phone's rotating again. If you don't get the right shade, it's going to be really important for you to pull up your makeup all the way to your hairline. I'm not really the best at this all the time. Sometimes I forget. But sometimes I look at myself and I go, oh my god, I completely missed my hairline. And it looks bad. No matter what style you do, you want to make sure you can have like an even amount of makeup on your face. Especially sometimes in this light, it'll look fine, but you'll go out in the sunlight and you can tell it's really patchy. So especially when you're first starting out, don't feel too bad if you go outside and look and you see yourself and you're like, oh my god, I look patchy as hell. It happens. So just learn from it, and if anything, you can always just carry around a sponge with you and kind of blend it out throughout the day. I just do that sometimes. See, that's also another benefit of drugstore makeup, is that if I ever find out I forgot an area of my face, I can swing by any drugstore, buy a brand new one, and not feel bad about it, because I'm not spending 60, 70 bucks on a foundation I'll only use once, or that I'll have to keep in a drawer for a while. So the amount of makeup you saw at the beginning, that's kind of good enough for my whole face. Again, you're just gonna have to play around with the amounts and see what kind of coverage you want and how that makeup spreads on your face. I'm just going through here, making sure it's even. With this one, I've noticed I get a little greasier. I normally, well, I've used the Maybelline Superstay. That one is really good full coverage, keeps me looking matte throughout the entire day. Even the L'Oreal Infallible, I also use this one. That one is pretty good at keeping me matte. There's also the L'Oreal Infallible that comes in a pump bottle. That one's great for keeping me matte. This one I might have to play around with my primer to see if I can get that matte look again. But it does have SPF, which is really important. So as you get closer and closer to not having a beard by laser hair removal or whatever, you won't need to do this as much, but and you can kind of just end your makeup right at your jawline and bring it down a little bit. And then there's other techniques you can do to shape your face that will also limit how much makeup you have to put down here. But for me, I like to cover it, just make sure nobody can see any bit of beard shadow at all, ever. I'm surprised that this silly putty is holding my phone so well. It is kind of annoying that it rotates it every once in a while, but not bad for a cheap fix that I figured, because I was like, how am I going to hold my phone to the mirror while I do this? So, not bad. It's not a bad solution. So you want to make sure you do as many silly faces, move as much as you need to really see every area that you are putting makeup on. You'd rather look silly in the bathroom than go out looking silly. That's my opinion. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's like a harsh division between makeup, no makeup. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the sponge, we're just gonna kind of blend it out. This softens up the division of your makeup so that it doesn't look like you're all wearing a lot of makeup, because that's not a good look on anybody. Sorry, here I'm just checking my makeup, making sure I covered every bit of my skin that I want covered. Looks good. So then we're going to move on to the next step of what I do on a pretty much daily basis. It's like the bare minimum makeup I'll do to go outside, mostly because I still have a bit of a beard shadow, and I want to definitely get rid of that. Also, do not forget to wipe the makeup off of your hand. I have sat on my pants when I have makeup here, and it leaves a big makeup stain. So, make sure you get rid of that. So I use it's kind of like, I guess, a setting powder, but this is really just to get rid of any oiliness. I like having a really matte look. I think it just looks a little better, and I don't really like that dewy look. Again, all personal preference. You can use a setting powder or spray that makes you look dewy, or makes you look however you want to look. So, don't think you're beholden to how I like doing my makeup. What's really important with foundation is just that you get the technique right, that you just, kind of dab along your face. You kind of don't want to drag it along too much unless you're blending, and just get that makeup on everywhere evenly. That's what gets you the best looking results. Now you will notice that my voice doesn't sound exactly feminine. Even with this voice, when I do like a full face makeup, I get gendered properly about maybe 85% of the time. It's only every once in a while, maybe when somebody like doesn't see me properly, that they'll be like, sure, and they'll look up and they'll be like, So makeup does go a long way to helping you out, because my voice is deep. Anyway, so get some of the powder on that lid. Take a little puff. Make I put it in the trouble zone. So for me, a little bit on the forehead. And then with this, for some reason, I think this one doesn't blend in too well with my foundation, so I'm actually gonna just go over it again with my sponge to kind of help it blend itself in a little. And let me see, one last check. So I know you'll notice that it is a 15-minute long video, and I can normally get this done in about 5 minutes if I'm not explaining what I'm doing to a camera. So, alright, that's it.